welcome again to our weekly photo critique. Sorry, this is a little late. It's Wednesday, not Tuesday, but that's all right. Anyway, today's photo comes from Brian. He's one of our Photo Basics 2 students, and he took this picture in Thailand, I want to say, someplace in Asia. I guess this is some temple, and this person right here is a monk. And he tells me that after taking this photo, he got yelled at, or at least got a glare from this person for shooting in the temple. But anyway, I thought it was a really cool image, and it's going to be my image for the photo critique of the week. So, anyway, love this image. Think it's awesome. And I'm going to talk about a couple ones. Now, I know that I am a portrait photographer and a wedding photographer, so my bias is I'm inclined to pick portrait pictures and couple pictures and people pictures because where I can give the most valuable feedback because that's where my training's been, that's where all my experience has been. But I'm going to try to dice it up every once in a while and pick something that's not portrait like this one. So this is much more of a architecture type shot, much more of a design type shot, something you might find on, the I don't know, stock photo or something like that, but really like it. Okay, a couple reasons why I really like it. We've already talked about the rule of thirds, and this is like totally awesome example of rule of thirds. We got this rule of third and this, or I'm sorry, this third, and the intersection of that is the focal point, this angry monk right here. Apparently, this is what we call a PowerPoint. Special thanks to Laura Ballard for telling me that, or I guess somebody else told me it might be something called something else. But basically, whenever the intersection of the thirds intersect, we get a PowerPoint. So we get one right here, one right here, one right here, and one right here. So anyway, kind of cool that it's intersecting like that. But we also got tons and tons of design elements going on. We've got these repetitions and patterns going on with the windows on this side, or whatever these are, and the windows on this side. You've got these little light posts coming on from either side. I do think it would be interesting, not that you could have done this, but it would have been interesting for these to be lit to kind of create some added effects to that. The other thing that I like is the sun coming in on the floor here through these windows. Again, it's just another repetition of patterns, and you've just got all these patterns and all these. I can't remember the name of it. Oh man, it'll come to me in just a bit. Leading lines. I can't believe I forgot the word leading lines. Anyway, you got these leading lines and these patterns all leading to the focal point. So, very successful in that way. There's a couple things that I'd want to change. Some of the things are out of your control. Like I said, the lights are a little out of your control. The other thing that is out of your control is the placement of the monk. Don't think the monk would have been too happy with you if had you asked. Uh, Apparently, it's a her monk, a female monk. I didn't know they had female monks, but anyway, apparently she probably wouldn't have been too happy if you had asked her to move. But it would have been cool to see her right between these two windows. And the reason why is because she would have been framed by these windows, but rather she's kind of in a bit of an awkward place. But really, it's not that bad. Also, you're losing detail here. It is shadow detail, and typically photographers don't care a whole lot about shadow detail, but it's still, I think it'd still be nice to see. And I'm looking now, and I see some patterns on this floor here that might be kind of cool to be able to see it throughout. But then again, you're working with an image that already has a lot of contrast, and that's just me being picky. So it's nothing against the photography; just would be interesting to be able to see the detail. But I think the most blaring thing that you could have fixed is that this is just slightly tilted. So I'm actually using Picasso. This is the first time I've used it, so if I mess something up, I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm going to do my little straightening thing, and I'm just going to see what happens when I rotate it just a little bit. Okay, let's see, maybe that's not enough. Uh, about right there. It looks like that'll do it. So if you look at these little dotted lines, this right here is where you want to make sure it's straight. And that looks like those are lining up with the windows pretty well. So I think that would be a little bit more successful. I'm going to set this and hope that I can go back. Okay, so I think that's a little bit better. Yeah, I can do an undo. There we go. So that's before, that's after. Wow, Picasso's pretty cool. I recommend it. 2 thumbs up, for basic editing at least. But anyway, yeah, I think when it's a little more straight, it's a little easier on the eye to follow. And one other thing that I would say is I would be interested to see what would happen when we totally tweak it and totally kind of do something like that. Let's see what that looks like without the lines. I mean, if we had a higher resolution image, it might be cool. Let me undo that, and then let's try going the other way and see what happens. If you notice our pictures, we don't actually. I do like that way better. We don't often tilt our pictures, and I totally think it's overdone, and I think a lot of people do it without knowing why they're doing it. There's a lot of people to kind of compensate for not quite knowing what they're doing, that they start tilting the camera and try to be artsy. And that's okay when you're starting out, but really you got to know why you're tilting the camera. And the biggest reason that I see that I've noticed when I'm tilting the camera is the reason why I do it is that I want to create strong diagonal lines. Okay, anytime there's strong diagonal lines in a picture, it creates a feeling of imbalance and a feeling of edginess or a feeling of dynamicism. Is that a word? Dynamicness? I don't know, whatever you might say. So, yeah. But if you're shooting just against a normal brick wall, it doesn't really make sense to tilt the photo because it doesn't create strong diagonal lines. On the other hand, with this one, that definitely starts creating some strong diagonal lines, and it's kind of an interesting image when you do it that way. So my challenge to my Photo Basics 2 class for this week, and for all you photographers out there, is to kind of do a tilt image and see what happens. But make sure that you have very strong lines in the photo. Something like this, where there's very, very prominent leading lines. And particularly, yeah, just leading lines. So tilt the photo, kind of try to make those leading lines become very strong diagonal lines, and then see how it turns out. And I'd love for our students to post it, and if you other photographers out there want to email, I'd love to see it. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this week's photo critique, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.